I'm not a Hunger Games hater. When I titled this video, it was a very specific decision. I was either going to title it A Skeptic Reads A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes or A Hater Reads A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. And I figured hater was more accurate because if you've been on my channel, then you know. But as I do with every Hunger Games video that I am slightly critical of the trilogy and decisions made in the trilogy in any shape or form, I must emphasize I love the Hunger Games. Can you see that in the background? I've had that since the first movie came out. That's my first poster, and it is staying with me until I die. I live my life by this t-shirt, What Would Peeta Do? Because to this day, he still stands as my favourite fictional character of all time. And if you were in my life IRL during the time that the movies were coming out, you would know that I was insufferable. It was all I wanted to talk about. It was all I was interested in. I love the bones of the Hunger Games. I don't love the bones of the prequels. A long time has passed since A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes was announced. And when A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes was announced, I made a little video just expressing my upset that Suzanne Collins wasn't trying something new and was instead continuing to write in the Hunger Games universe. And people had interesting reactions to that. It's probably one of my most popular videos, but also my most controversial. I was called fat. I was told to kill myself. I was told that the series was the best thing since sliced bread. And for me to criticize our Lord and Saviour Suzanne Collins proved that I wasn't a fan, and all the stuff I said at the start about being a fan meant that I was a fake fan. And that I shouldn't be opening my mouth. If I can remember, one of the specific comments is, why is it always the fat ugly girls who are very loud with their opinions? And it was like, I love this fandom. The reason that I was against A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes so much was because Suzanne Collins said, whenever the last movies were coming out, she said that she was going to go beyond Panem and write something new. And I anticipated that greatly. I'm not against prequels. Funnily enough, I'm not against prequels. I write prequels myself. I have prequels to my own novel published. Like, it's not the prequel thing. It's the thing that she was promising something else and she didn't deliver that. She went back to what was safe, in my opinion, like what she knew was going to sell. And she always says that she doesn't write something unless she feels like there's a story to tell. And I had the book pegged from the start. As soon as we knew it was by President Snow, I knew exactly what was going on. You can see that I kind of I do a couple videos where I kind of talk about it and I predict it, although I wouldn't go back and watch those because I wasn't very level-headed with my opinion back then. But it's been a long time. It's been, what, 6 years? 7 years? Did it come out 2020? It came out a long time ago. And the more that I've seen stuff come out about it, obviously the second prequel came out about Haymitch, and people loved that. And I was a bit more inclined towards that one than the one in President Snow's point of view. I don't want to be in that motherfucker's head. I don't want to know what his thoughts are. I don't care. And I don't like the it was a girl thing. I know that I'm not, guys, I'm going to read it. That's what this video was about. But this is what my impressions were. I didn't care if he got jilted by some girl from District 12, and that's what made him who he is today. He's a bastard through and through, and I don't care if it was a girl, if it was his mum, if it was his pet dog that he lost because a peacekeeper shot it in the head and he's had a grudge ever since. I didn't care. It didn't interest me because I don't really care why a bastard's a bastard. He's just a bastard. And I prefer it that way. I don't like it whenever villains have to have some sort of tragic origin. I like it that sometimes people are just bastards. Maybe that's too black and white of me. Maybe I need to look into the nuance a bit more. But whenever I knew it was from President Snow, and I knew it was about him mentoring the District 12 girl, I knew it was going to be the one other District 12 victor that was mentioned in the original trilogy, and I immediately didn't like where we were going with it. When they released a snippet of it, I think Entertainment Weekly released a snippet, and I was like, I'm not for this. So I left it alone. When the movie came up, I say left it alone. I tried to ignore it. After I made a good amount of videos on it, I tried to ignore it. Trying to get that viewership that never came in. Then the movie came out and the fandom proved me right. I'm not even saying I didn't see the movie, obviously, because I didn't read the book. I haven't read the book either, so I don't know what the movie was. I know good amount of elements from it. I actually did a video whenever the book came out, going over some of the key points. I say key points. Don't look at that video. I used the Wikipedia page, and I shouldn't have done that. I should have read the fucking thing if I was going to make a video about the book. Don't look at that video. But when the movie came out, exactly what I feared was going to happen happened. There was thirst traps for President Snow. There was people being like, oh, I suddenly understand why he did all that he did, and I would be on his side because he's so hot. And it's like, I hate people. I hate the world. And this was exactly what I feared was going to happen if a book came out in President Snow's point of view and a movie was going to be made, because obviously a movie was going to be made. And people did exactly what people do, and they were awful. I'm not saying it was everyone. I know that there's a large portion of people who love the books, and they love it for the characters, and they love it for their psychology, apparently, and what President Snow does. But exactly what I feared was going to happen happened, and people were sexualizing President Snow. I saw a thirst trap of President Snow on my TikTok, and that's when I just sort of... you know. But then the one about Haymitch was announced, and I was like, oh great, another one. And hey, if people enjoy watching me read A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes for the first time, maybe I'll do one for Haymitch's book as well. Maybe I'll get it all done before the movie comes out in November. Not promising anything. But the reason I wanted to focus on A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes is because it was the one that really got my back up. For many reasons, because it was from President Snow's point of view. I didn't like the idea of Lucy Gray. She sounded very like whimsical pixie dream girl who goes into President Snow's life and changes it forever and then disappears and then he's forever tormented. I didn't like that people were tracing that to Katniss, being like, oh, the only reason he targeted Katniss so much was because he loved Lucy Gray and she reminds him of Lucy Gray. Katniss stands on her own as a character and her actions stand as her own. It's not because she reminds him of some maniacal pixie girl back in his day. What I did like was the idea that there has been multiple attempts at rebellion. That is something that I think was interesting. Like, Katniss was not the first. She was the first successful, if you can call all the deaths and stuff successful, the first successful attempt at rebellion that actually did something. I do like that idea, because there's no way that a country would sit and let this happen without some sort of upset over the years. Not for 75 years, no. Please note that the things that I've just listed off is first impressions on what I got from what was told to us about this book before it came out. And because I haven't read it, it's kind of like this is the impression I've gotten as I've read it. This is the impression that I've got from other people and what I've seen. This whole video, the whole purpose is for me to read the book and be like, was I right or was I wrong? Now, if you're going to watch this series, however long it takes me, and you think that you're going to expect me to, one, praise it without any criticism whatsoever, that's not going to happen, or two, hate on it with all of my being without giving it a chance, that's not happening either. I love The Hunger Games. I love it with all of my heart. That doesn't mean that it's a piece of media that is just devoid of criticism. Like, you can't criticize it whatsoever. You should always be open to criticism, because it's the only way that things improve, and it's the only way. Nothing's perfect, you know? And if you can't take me criticizing it and you're going to call me fat and ugly, and the only ones who have opinions are the fat and ugly ones, I mean, you can do that, but, you know, I think I've explained my intentions pretty succinctly here. So I'm currently waiting on the book to arrive. I bought it off Vinted. That was what inspired me to do this. I saw it on Vinted and I was like, maybe it's time. Let's do a quick thing where I talk about what I think A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes was about, because then as I read, I can then, you know, see whether I was right, wrong, yes or no. Don't put spoilers in the comments, by the way. If you're gonna do that, then you suck. Like, I know how it ends. I haven't been able to avoid that. But, like, if you're gonna, like, spoil a super uber detail that, like, I don't mention here, then why are you being an asshole and why are you here? So please try not to do that. But I'm going to talk about the impression that I got just from what I've seen over the past, has it really been 6 years? Damn. So this is what have seen. President Snow is, I don't know if he's poor, but he needs prize money and you get prize money from being a mentor of a winning tribute. And this also may be wrong. This is just what I know, so don't be going in the comments if I'm wrong. This is just what I think. And then when I get into it, I'll see whether, like, what was right, what was wrong. So President Snow needs money, and you can get money from mentoring tributes. District 12 is considered the worst. So, like, District 12 are given mentors and stylists and stuff who are like the worst, or like brand new, or they're not seen as like, the best the capital has. I'm not sure how that results in President Snow getting Lucy Gray to mentor, but he gets Lucy Gray he mentors Lucy Gray, who is the District 12 female tribute for this Hunger Games. The Hunger Games is still relatively new. There's something I vaguely remember about it, about people starting to get bored with it, so they're trying something new. I know that President Snow, obviously Lucy Gray wins. She is the victor because in the original trilogy, there's Katniss, Peeta, Haymitch, and one other victor who nobody knows what happened to them. They're just gone. So that is Lucy Gray. So President Snow is mentoring Lucy Gray, and she wins. And I remember something about him influencing snakes to respond to her. So it's kind of like cheating or something like that. So that whenever she sings, the snakes like react to her because she's a singer. I know about the covey. There's a covey in District 12. Not entirely sure about what that's about. It's something to do with singing. So there's a covey. Lucy Gray's part of the covey. Covey. So she sings to the snakes, and the snakes like don't hurt her, and I think that's how she wins. Something along that line. I really hope it's explained a bit better, because that still sounds really stupid to me. I'm really hoping that bit's better, because that sounds, I remember reading that on the Wikipedia page whenever I did that stupid video where I just looked at the Wikipedia synopsis, and I was just like, wow, that sounds silly. So I'm hoping like there's a better explanation for that. I know President Snow, because I know it goes a bit after the games. I know President Snow becomes a peacekeeper in District 12, and he hangs around Lucy Gray and, like, this, that, and the other, and then like she kind of starts getting a feeling of who he is and what he's like, and then they go to the pond, because I remember someone mentioning about him shitting himself at the thought of Katniss being at the pond, and she, I'm trying to get my words together. And then she sees him for who he really is, and she runs away. To me, I would say she ran away and died, because I don't think she would have found District 13. I don't think that that's realistic. I prefer my stories, like, yeah, as realistic as you can get in a young adult novel, but I do prefer the idea that she ran away and she died in the wilderness. She chose that rather than continue being with Snow. I find that a lot more realistic and impactful than, oh, she ran off and she was able to live off the wilderness and she found District 13 and it was all happily ever after. I maybe I'm just a sadist. I don't like I don't like anything that's too happily ever after. So there's a warning if you're reading my books. So I know that happens, and there's bits and pieces like along the way, but that's what my general impression is at the minute. So as soon as the book arrives, I'm going to start reading it. I don't know how I'm going to do this series yet, whether I'll do it like once I've read. Is there parts? If there's parts, like I'll read part 1, part 2, part 3 and do a video for each one, or I'll just see how I go. And I'll post my thoughts as we go along. And I'm not going to be a hater, I promise. I'm not going to be a hater. So, yeah, let's see how it goes. I almost forgot to film a sort of outro to this thing, because obviously I'm a professional. So this will serve as an introduction video, and then the next one will be where I'll post my thoughts on the first couple of chapters, or first part, however it works. But like, comment, and subscribe if you're interested in following me on this journey. Don't do any of that if you don't want to. I don't want you there if you don't want to be there. And remember,
sometimes giving something a shot isn't always a bad thing. And maybe this will be one of the best decisions of my life. Let's see.